Countless times you hear people shout in frustration when watching a slasher film and the young heroes make a foolish mistake and are killed. Well, now it's time to see if those same people can make the smart decision to where it counts. Hello, this is Project Core, a 2D point-and-click adventure where the player controls 6 different kids as they solve puzzles to escape a large mansion. The twist is that in the halls lies a masked killer who seeks to make young children his victims. The player has one mission: to get the 6 children out of the locked house alive. With a similar theme to an 80s slasher horror film, the distinct young kids have gotten the attention of a masked killer and need to escape. And while the goal seems simple, it's locked behind various puzzles and traps that the killer has set up. The kids are frightened and afraid for their own safety, but thankfully they have you at their side, ready to help them escape. The player, however, has to watch out, for even one wrong move can end their game. If any of the 6 kids run into the killer, their life is cut short. If all 6 kids die, that'll result in a game over for the player. But even if one kid makes it to the end, the player will be victorious. The point-and-click aspect will offer various options in regard to what specific item the player is focused on, from opening and closing, to using or talking, and even hiding. Similar to Day of the Tentacle in regards to how they handle the mechanic, with a radial menu appearing when the player clicks on an object, and text that appears when they drag an item in their inventory to an item in the level. This point-and-click aspect will be used for players to solve the various puzzles and traps that they need to complete. The player will also need to implement the 6 teenagers who the player controls one at a time, switching perspective between all the kids, which can be done with a simple button press. Players will be able to switch whenever and wherever, and also be able to track the other characters' views with a small mini camera to the bottom right, detailing what's happening to the other characters. The 6 teenagers the player can switch control of each have a unique skill to them that will help them not only solve puzzles, but also in evading and hiding from the killer. Like the virgin girl who can survive one encounter with the killer, but gets grossed out from the sight of blood and is stunned for a bit upon witnessing it, because she's so pure. The strengths and weaknesses, of course, harken back to classic horror movie cliches. A main point in design will be having each character feel useful and balanced to each other. This will be reflected in puzzles, where each character can solve them solo and solve them with the usage of switching between multiple characters at once. This is so players will always keep an open mind to every puzzle and not suffer if they lose too many characters to the killer. This falls into the decision context present in the game, where players will ultimately decide how they would want to solve puzzles, and even who they want to live. The killer is the anti-force, an unbeatable foe that stalks the halls to kill the kids. The killer is a random element, spawning wherever and whenever, and will actively chase the player down. When the killer gets close, they can make the final blow and kill the character. The killer is random on who it goes after, but if a player does seem too focused on one kid more than the other, the killer will see that player as a threat and aggro on the character more often. There are 2 ways to evade the killer: running and hiding. If the player hides their character in an area without the killer noticing, the killer will get confused and leave. Running simply means that. Running until they simply get away from the killer. Each decision has a pro and con. Hiding is the longer, but safer option, where running is the faster, but more dangerous option. There are 3 developmental risks that can occur: an issue of balancing and making sure each character feels not only useful, but also features an appropriate setback that won't infuriate the player. This is a risk that player feedback could fix. An issue of puzzle length, as it's wanted to have numerous puzzles, but for time it would be better to keep it low at about 10 to 12. Another issue comes in the number of characters. Having it at 6 could seem too much, and if it ends up being true, bringing it down to 3 or 4 characters would mitigate the issue. ProjectCore is similar to Clock Tower and Day of the Tentacle in their point-and-click puzzle adventure aspects, and Until Dawn with the horror theme and keeping everyone alive. However, the main difference is that where events with the anti-force are either absent or scripted, ProjectCore will have the killer be random and then force the player to always stay on their toes. ProjectCore hopes to place the player in the same fear yet enjoyment one would get from watching a legitimate slasher film, by guiding those very same slasher kids out of the terrifying situations they've witnessed time and time again. Thanks for watching.